As the Pittsburgh Steelers grind through the most consequential stretch of their 2025 season, every roster move carries weight far beyond its surface-level description. In a year defined by injuries, inconsistency, and an increasingly narrow margin for error, even seemingly modest transactions can signal deeper organizational intent. That context makes the team's latest decision, officially signing wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling to the 53-man roster from the practice squad, not just notable, but revealing. According to longtime Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reporter Jerry Dulac, the Steelers made the move ahead of their Week 15 matchup against the Miami Dolphins, opting to secure Valdes-Scantling's services for the remainder of the season rather than continuing to operate within the limitations of practice squad elevations. While this decision may not dominate national headlines, it represents a meaningful shift in how Pittsburgh is managing its offensive personnel as the playoff race intensifies. Valdes-Scantling's journey to the active roster has been quiet, but deliberate. He made his Steelers debut in Week 14 when the team elevated him from the practice squad for a divisional clash against the Baltimore Ravens. On paper, his stat line was empty, no receptions, no yards, but focusing solely on the box score misses the larger point. Valdes-Scantling was heavily involved in the offensive game plan, logging meaningful snaps and running routes in situations that traditionally belong to trusted contributors. Perhaps most telling of all, he overtook rookie Roman Wilson in the pecking order, operating as the fourth wide receiver in the rotation. That usage was not accidental. It was a clear indication that the coaching staff viewed Valdes-Scantling as someone they could rely on immediately, particularly in high-pressure situations where alignment, timing, and route discipline matter as much as raw talent. His presence forced defenses to account for vertical threats, stretching coverage and subtly altering how opponents defended Pittsburgh's offense, even if the ball never came his way. Originally, the plan was simple. According to Dulac, the Steelers intended to elevate Valdes-Scantling once again for Week 15 against Miami, which would have marked his second of the 3 practice squad elevations allowed under NFL rules. Instead, the organization pivoted. Rather than delaying the inevitable, Pittsburgh chose to make his role permanent. Steelers are going to sign W.R. Marquez Valdes-Scantling to the 53-man roster, Dulac wrote on X. MVS was going to be elevated from the practice squad for tonight's game, which would have been his second of 3 allotted elevations. That choice is more consequential than it might initially appear. By signing Valdes-Scantling now, the Steelers avoid the constraints of limited elevations and send a clear message: he is not a temporary solution or an emergency depth option. He is part of the plan moving forward. In doing so, however, the team must also confront the realities of roster math. Every addition requires a subtraction, and this signing will force the Steelers to make a corresponding move, one that could have ripple effects throughout the depth chart. While Valdes-Scantling effectively displaced Roman Wilson in Week 14's rotation, it is highly unlikely that Wilson will be released as a result of this transaction. The rookie remains an investment for the future and has not fallen out of favor internally. Instead, the more plausible outcomes include placing an injured player on injured reserve or waiving a fringe roster player with the hope that he clears waivers and can be retained on the practice squad. These decisions rarely generate headlines, but they often shape a team's flexibility and resilience down the stretch. With Valdes-Scantling officially added, Pittsburgh's wide receiver room has taken on a distinctly veteran-heavy complexion. The group now includes DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, Adam Thielen, Valdes-Scantling, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, Kushan Williams, and Ben Skoranek. On paper, it is a crowded and diverse unit, blending elite physical traits, speed, route running precision, special teams value, and developmental upside. In practice, however, the hierarchy is becoming clearer. Metcalf remains the alpha presence, physically dominant, matchup dependent, and capable of tilting coverage schemes. Austin provides speed and gadget versatility. Thielen offers reliability, nuance, and red zone intelligence. Valdes-Scantling occupies a complementary but critical role, the vertical stressor who forces defenses to respect the deep ball even when he is not targeted. That role becomes especially important given the quarterback situation. Valdes-Scantling's history with Aaron Rodgers is one of the primary reasons this signing carries strategic significance. The two spent 4 seasons together with the Green Bay Packers, developing a level of familiarity that is difficult to manufacture on short notice. Over 59 games together, 39 of them starts, Valdes-Scantling recorded 123 receptions for 2,153 yards and 13 touchdowns. While his production was never gaudy, his impact often went beyond raw numbers. He understood Rodgers' cadence, his pre-snap adjustments, and his expectations regarding spacing and timing. In critical moments, that understanding matters. Rodgers has long valued receivers who can be trusted to run precise routes and be in the correct spot at the correct time, even if they are not the primary read. Valdes-Scantling fits that mold. He may not command high target volume, but his presence influences defensive structure and opens opportunities for others, a subtle but essential contribution in an offense seeking consistency. That emphasis on maturity was explicitly acknowledged by Rodgers following the Steelers' Week 14 victory over Baltimore. In post-game comments, he credited the wide receiver room's maturity as a key factor in the offense's improved execution. That praise was not accidental, nor was it generic. It reflected a growing reliance on veterans who understand situational football and can be trusted when the stakes are highest. By committing to Valdes-Scantling and Adam Thielen for the remainder of the season, Pittsburgh is leaning into that philosophy. It is a tacit admission that the developmental curve for younger players may not align with the team's immediate needs. In December football, reliability often outweighs potential. The fact that Roman Wilson and Kushan Williams were both inactive in Week 14 further underscores this shift. While both players remain part of the organization's long-term outlook, the current priority is fielding a lineup that minimizes mental errors and maximizes situational awareness. Valdes-Scantling's elevation, and now his signing, fits neatly into that framework. From a broader organizational standpoint, this move reflects a franchise adjusting its approach midstream. Early in the season, the Steelers appeared committed to evaluating younger talent and allowing natural progression to shape the roster. As injuries mounted and the playoff picture tightened, that patience has given way to pragmatism. Every snap now carries postseason implications. Every mistake is magnified. And every reliable veteran becomes more valuable. Valdes-Scantling's signing also offers flexibility from a schematic perspective. His speed allows offensive coordinators to stretch the field vertically, creating space underneath for tight ends, running backs, and possession receivers. Even when targeted sparingly, his presence alters coverage responsibilities and can force safeties to hesitate, a split-second advantage that can mean the difference between a stalled drive and a conversion. In a season where the Steelers have struggled to generate explosive plays consistently, that dimension cannot be overlooked. Ultimately, this move is about more than one player. It is about direction. It is about acknowledgement that the margin for experimentation has vanished. The Steelers are positioning themselves for a stretch run where execution, chemistry, and trust take precedence over development timelines. Marquez Valdes-Scantling may never lead the team in receptions or yards, but his signing speaks volumes about what the Steelers value at this point in the season. They want players who understand the moment, who know the quarterback, and who can execute without hesitation. In a year marked by instability, that kind of certainty, even in a supporting role, can make all the difference. Comment if you think Marquez Valdes-Scantling will make a big difference to the Steelers' main team. Thanks for watching and see you soon.